What's up, guys? Well, it's time to do the brake swap on my 2015 WRX. Not too much has changed since the last video as far as my setup or my parts. Everything's pretty much the same, although I did this week get my Brembo stickers. I got these off eBay. So these are just straight over the paint. They're supposed to be stencils or high temperature stickers. We'll see about that as time goes on. So I don't know, I like the way they look. It really sets off the brakes putting the stickers on. And yeah, so we'll just go ahead and try to slap these on today and have a good time. The OEM bolts for the calipers, the stock calipers, are 14mm bolt right here on the back. So all we got to do is just crack these loose. One on the top and one on the bottom. For now, I'm just going to hang the caliper out of the way. Remove the pads. These are my StopTech street performance pads, and they probably have about 14,000 miles on them. Next up, we have to crack loose these 17mm bolts that are holding the bracket on for the calipers. And this is kind of a tight fit back here. We've got a bolt directly, looks like something for the shock, and it's kind of blocking your way, so I had to use a longer socket to get clearance for the wrench. Alright, that bolt requires a lot of force. On there pretty good. Time to break out the mallet. Loosen these up a little bit. Wow. So right off the bat, these feel a lot heavier than the new 4K KNS rotors I got. These got some pretty good weight to them. So I've got my brake cleaner. Just gonna spray it down and rough it up with this, and then clean it up with the other brush. Alright, good news. The new rotor fits behind this shrouding without any rubbing. So, looks like I can keep the dust shields on. That's pretty sweet. I'm going to cut out the dust shield to begin with. Alright, so I've got the shim here, and if you can see the chamfered edge, this goes inward to the hub assembly. Flat part sticks out toward us, or toward you when you're doing this. I'm going to go ahead and drill this out with a 9/16 drill bit, and then we'll go ahead and tap the bottom with a tap provided with the kit. Now they only provide the cutting portion, and you'll have to go out and actually buy an extension and then the whatever tool you want to cut it with. Anyway, but what I've got to help me with cutting is just some thread cutting oil. I did this on the other side, it went pretty smooth. It was really easy to drill this top one out, and then also cut the threads in the bottom. And I just picked this up at Home Depot. It was about $3 or $4. My drill bit, this is a 9/16 Milwaukee titanium drill bit, and it goes down to a 1/2 inch shank. I didn't have a drill, so I had to go over to Harbor Freight, pick up this $30 drill. Does fine. I can't justify spending more than that on the drill that I don't use that much. So okay, so I've got the threading oil in, and I'm going to get ready to drill. Just a tip I've picked up from a mechanic I was talking to. He told me not to put much pressure on the drill and push too hard on it when I'm drilling, and then also to just go nice and slow and not generate too much heat when I'm cutting. So that worked pretty well on the other side, and I'm going to do it the same on this side. There's no need to just, you know, go through, drill real hard into it. So, and then I'm also going to, you know, be vigorous with the cutting oil. I've got plenty of it, and I'll be fine. Another thing is, when I jacked my car up and took the wheels off, my hubs are not straight or parallel with the body, so they're kind of angled. I would not advise doing that. Try to get them straight as you can and not make it harder on yourself. So we'll go ahead and get this drilled out. Have to tap this bottom hole now with the tap provided with the brake kit. So again, I'll use my cutting oil on that. Make sure it's nice and oiled up, and I don't want any snags. Just line it up and threads in here nice and easy. Not a lot of pressure on it. Once I cut some, I want to back this out and get these threads out of here so I can make good clean cuts into the knuckle. Then I should be able to fit right back into some of the threads I've already cut. Nice and easy. Make sure I get back in those threads. And then when I start to feel some resistance, That means I'm cutting new threads. So I got a fugue in there, and I'll turn it back. Get those shavings out. A little more oil. Alright, so punch through the back, threads are cut, and I'll just go ahead and clean out the bit before I turn it and come back through. And hit it up with some cutting oil again. Back it up. Should be nice and smooth. Alright, so the threads are cut, and spray it out with the caliper cleaner. Sure, I get all these shavings out. Alright, next up is go ahead and put the new rotor on. I'll go ahead and spray this off with my caliper cleaner. Get it clean. Again, these are the 4K K&S rotors. Looks like they've got bolt patterns for the 5x100 and then the 5x114. Next, I'll be using the brackets and the 3 bolts provided in the kit and mounting my new caliper. Alright, so the shortest bolt in the kit will go in the bottom hole of the bracket, and you'll thread it into the new bolt, or the new threads that you cut into the knuckle. Alright, so leave it a little loose, just so I do have a little bit of play with the bracket. For the top of the bracket, you got your larger bolt. Go ahead and slide this through. You do have to watch out for this bolt for the strut. It's in your way, so just wiggle it. Try to get it in there and loosen up the bottom real quick. Alright. Make sure it's the one for the passenger side. So this lower hole right here, this will thread into our caliper with the other longer bolt provided by the kit. And we'll have to line it up and thread it into the caliper, just like that. Now we can tighten these bolts down. So to help stop squeaky brakes, I've got the disc brake quiet. I'm gonna go ahead and spray these on the back shims, or this metal part of the pads. And first I'll have to hit them with caliper cleaner. Just make sure you spray the back and not the front. Let that dry up, and we can hit it with the brake quiet. Okay, thanks for dirtying up my brakes. Whatever, man. We'll let these dry for 10 minutes. Alright, so before I disconnect the brake lines from the calipers, I'm going to remove some brake fluid from here. I'm going to suck it out with this little syringe. Make sure you don't get any dirt in here or water. You don't want to contaminate this reservoir. But at the same time, you got to be careful not to get brake fluid everywhere because it's highly corrosive. So if you leave it on your paint, it's probably going to peel your paint off. Make sure you don't get it down too far so air gets in the system. You don't want that. The line's down here, and I'm going to fill it with my new brake fluid, Motul 5.1. Remove this bolt. It's 12mm. That'll give me some more slack from these rubber brake lines. So with the StopTech kit, this is your stainless steel line. You got your banjo bolt right here, and you've got a total of 4 copper washers. One will go on here directly to the bolt, through the brake line, and then another copper washer on the other side. So they're sandwiched in between the line. And then remove your tab from the caliper. And thread it in. Alright, so that's 12mm bolt, and it gets 14 foot-pounds of torque. I've got my torque wrench set to 14. Alright, so now I'm gonna disconnect the old brake line from the car down here. Got my plastic in the way and stuff like that. And this is a line wrench, and this bolt is a 10mm, so I'm just going to break it loose, get the retaining clip out, and put another retaining clip in, and hopefully you know, we'll get this StopTech back there fairly quickly before too much comes out or too much air gets in the system. Alright, you have to be really careful with these bolts connected to the hard lines for the brakes. The brake lines, whoo! I mean, I've got this this wrench, or line wrench, specifically made to take the brake lines off, but man, they do not want to come off, and the bolt really wants to strip, so you got to be very careful not to strip these out, because these are connected to the hard lines. You strip these, you can't get them off, you are going to be in a world of hurt, just like I almost was. So, wow, I'm glad that's off. Trying to get this threaded in as quick as I can. That way, lets out less air from the system, unless I'll have to worry about later. Okay, pads are finally finished drying, so we'll go ahead and put these on the passenger side. Okay, slide the pad in. These are probably sink down in, and they might have to push them back out to line them up through the retaining pins. So the retaining bracket faces down like this. Have to find something to punch the back down with. Record this. Okay guys, I've got the screw up man's tools. I screwed up this bottom bolt that goes in to the brake lines. Ended up buying a cheap line wrench, and it was not in correct dimensions to the 10mm nut on there. Ended up rounded it, so I had to go back out and buy some screw up man tools. Vice grips. I guess man's best friend when you don't do a good job. But anyway, ended up getting the bolt loose, so now I've just got to take off the old line and put the new one on. So spend the extra money on some good line wrenches. Don't cheap out like I did. I thought I'd be okay, but no, 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 no. If it's loose and you got slack in the bolt, don't use that line wrench. Just do yourself a favor and go directly to the store and get a new one. That will work. Alright, I finally got the new stainless steel brake line on the driver's side, but man, what a nightmare. Those hardline bolts or nuts are just way too soft. And if you don't have exactly the right tool, you're SOL. Picked up this self-bleeding tool. So all you have to do is really build up the PSI, I think to about 10. I'll connect this end of the hose and then it'll funnel down into the bottle to collect the brake fluid. So I'll start with the inside nipple first on the caliper. Alright, so my hose goes on this nipple on the back, and I've got my 11mm wrench. I've got the closed end on the nipple. So alright, that's some bubbles. Good deal. Get all those out. And at the same time, I'm keeping an eye on my fluid reservoir, or my brake fluid reservoir at the top, to make sure I don't get the level too far down and start sucking air through the system. That's even worse. So, yep, level looks good. And go ahead, build the pressure back up to 10. Crack the wrench. And tighten. Alright, so got the back one pretty good. Had my wife in the car and had her pump the brakes, hold it down, released it, and yeah, all the bubbles are on. So now I'm going to move on to the front nipple of the caliper and bleed this one. Alright, so nothing but air. Alright, now I'm starting to get some fluid. Pressure's back down to 0, so I go ahead and have my wife pump the brakes from inside the car. Alright, so pump the brakes. Alright, hold it down. Alright, not many bubbles, so that's a good sign. Alright, reservoir level looks good. Alright, so hold the brake down. Alright. No bubbles. That's pretty much it for the install. All you really have to do is bleed the brakes in the correct order. So to start out with, you go passenger rear, driver rear, passenger front, and then driver front. And that pretty much wraps up the rest of the install. So hope you guys enjoyed that. I tried to be as thorough as I could, tried to get some pretty good clips of what I was doing and what I was talking about, putting this together. But yeah, that's it. The hardest part of the install by far was dealing with those hard brake lines. Those nuts on there are just way too soft, and once you get some brake fluid on there, then everything gets slippery. But take your time. If you don't have some vice grips, you might want to save yourself a trip and pick those up before you start or something. Maybe you won't have a problem, but hey, whatever, I'm new. So, but if this is your first time checking out my one of my videos, go ahead and head over to my channel. I got some other content on there, and this is not the last time I'll be talking about this big brake kit. So, next video, I'm going to do a review on it, and we're actually going to find out how this new kit does against the old kit on a street. So we'll do 60 to 0 testing for both kits, find out which one's better, find out, you know, hey, did you spend money for nothing but looks and maybe some track usage? I don't know, we'll see. But, you know, whatever you want to do with your car, that's what I suggest. You like these things, like big brakes and stuff like that, go on stage 2, yeah, by all means, man. It's your car, you're paying for it. Don't let anybody tell you what to do with it. So, alright guys, I'll catch you next time, and look forward to that next video, because you'll see actually what's going on.